Hey everyone, welcome back. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, she will see these 8 signs, Shi Heng Yi. Have you ever felt like you're standing at the edge of something magnificent, but you can't quite see what's coming? Like the universe is whispering secrets you're just beginning to understand? Today, I'm going to share with you 8 profound signs that appear when God is preparing to bless a woman with something extraordinary. These aren't coincidences. These aren't random occurrences. These are divine signals that your breakthrough is closer than you think. I'm going to tell you about Sarah, a single mother of 2 who noticed these exact signs before her. Life transformed completely. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own journey. But before we dive deep, if you're ready to recognize these sacred signs in your own life, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. Let me start with Sarah's story, because her journey will illuminate everything we're about to discuss. 3 years ago, Sarah was working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet. She felt stuck, invisible, like she was running in circles while everyone else moved forward. Sound familiar? But then something shifted. She started noticing things, small at first, then impossible to ignore. Within 8 months, she had launched her own business, met her soulmate, and moved into her dream home. The signs were there all along. She just didn't know how to read them. Now, I want to be clear about something. These signs aren't about wishful thinking or manifestation trends. This is about recognizing how the divine communicates with women who are aligned with their purpose. Over the next 35 minutes, we're going to explore each of these 8 signs in detail. I'll share real stories, practical wisdom, and most importantly, how to position yourself to receive what's coming. Sign 1, the season of pruning. The first sign is perhaps the most misunderstood, and it's this: everything that no longer serves you begins to fall away. I know this sounds counterintuitive. When we think of blessings, we imagine addition, not subtraction. But here's what I've learned from years of spiritual study and personal experience. Sarah noticed this first. Friends who used to drain her energy suddenly became distant. Her toxic relationship ended abruptly. She even lost one of her jobs. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. God is creating space in your life for something bigger. Think of it like a garden. Before new growth can flourish, the dead branches must be removed. As it says in John 15:2, every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it will bear even more fruit. This pruning season might feel painful, but it's sacred work. So if you're experiencing unexpected endings right now, relationships, opportunities, even habits that once served you, don't panic. Ask yourself, what space is being created in my life? What am I being prepared to receive? I remember when this happened to me. I lost 3 major clients in 1 month. I thought it was disaster, but it forced me to pivot into the work I was truly called to do. Work that transformed not just my income, but my entire purpose. But pruning is just the beginning. The second sign is even more powerful, and it's happening right under your nose. Sign 2, increased spiritual sensitivity. The second sign is a heightened spiritual awareness that feels almost supernatural. You start noticing synchronicities everywhere. You wake up at 3:33 a.m. consistently. You keep seeing repeated numbers. 111, 444, 777. You hear a song that perfectly answers a question you've been pondering. Sarah told me she started having the most vivid dreams during this time. Dreams that felt more real than her waking life. In one dream, she saw herself speaking to hundreds of women. She dismissed it as wishful thinking. But here's what's really happening. Your spiritual antenna is being fine-tuned. You're becoming more receptive to divine guidance because you're about to need it for what's coming. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 2:14 that the person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God. But when you're aligned with divine purpose, you become supernaturally sensitive to spiritual signals. You might find yourself drawn to specific books or teachings at exactly the right moment, meeting strangers who share exactly what you need to hear, feeling compelled to pray for people you barely know, having insights that seem to come from beyond your own understanding. If this is happening to you, don't think you're losing your mind. You're not becoming overly spiritual or imaginative. You're being prepared to receive guidance for the extraordinary opportunity that's approaching. You apply for a position you're not quite qualified for, and get it. Someone offers you an opportunity out of the blue. Resources appear when you need them most, often from unexpected sources. This is where Sarah's story gets really interesting. She had been thinking about starting a consulting business but felt completely unqualified. Then her former colleague called out of nowhere, offering to partner with her on a major project. What's happening here is that God is orchestrating circumstances in your favor. It's like having a cosmic networking team working behind the scenes, connecting you with the right people at the right time. Proverbs 18:16 tells us, "A person's gift opens the way and ushers them into the presence of the great." Your gifts are being recognized and elevated by divine influence. You'll notice these opportunities have certain characteristics. They stretch you beyond your comfort zone. They align with your deepest values and desires. They come with a sense of rightness despite any fear. They often involve serving others in a meaningful way. Here's where many women stumble. They receive these opportunities but talk themselves out of them. "I'm not ready," they say. "I'm not qualified enough. What if I fail?" But here's what you need to understand. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. If the opportunity is presenting itself to you, you already have what it takes to succeed. I think about Maya Angelou, who was asked to write "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings," despite never having written an autobiography, or how Oprah was offered her first talk show despite having no experience hosting. So when these unusual opportunities come, and they will, resist the urge to analyze yourself out of them. Instead, ask, how can I serve through this opportunity? That's usually where you'll find your answer. But receiving favor is just the beginning. The fifth sign reveals how your internal world begins to shift in preparation for what's coming. Sign 5, internal strength and peace. The fifth sign is perhaps the most beautiful. You develop an unshakable inner peace, even amid external chaos. It's like finding an eye of calm in the storm of life. Things that used to trigger you don't have the same power anymore. You find yourself responding rather than reacting. Sarah noticed this when her ex-husband, who had always been able to push her buttons, suddenly couldn't disturb her peace. She told me, "It was like I was watching his drama from behind protective glass." This isn't numbness or detachment. This is divine strength being built within you, because you're going to need it for what's ahead. Great blessings often come with great responsibilities. You might find yourself naturally setting boundaries without guilt, speaking truth with love but firmness, trusting your intuition more deeply, feeling less need for external validation. Isaiah 26:3 promises, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." This steadfastness is being developed in you. This inner strength shows up in small ways first. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You say no to commitments that drain you. You speak up in meetings. You trust your ideas have value. God is fortifying your inner foundation because the blessing He's preparing requires a woman who knows her worth, trusts her voice, and can stand firm in her purpose. I remember when I first felt this shift. I was in a meeting where I used to shrink back, and suddenly I found myself confidently sharing an idea that changed the entire direction of the project. That inner strength became the foundation for every opportunity that followed. If you're experiencing this growing sense of inner peace and strength, celebrate it. You're being prepared for something that requires the full, authentic version of who you are. But this inner transformation has an external component too, which brings us to our sixth sign, sign 6, alignment with purpose. The sixth sign is a crystal clear sense of your life's purpose and calling. It's like someone suddenly turned on the lights in a room you've been stumbling through in darkness. You see not just what you're meant to do, but who you're meant to serve and how you're meant to impact the world. For Sarah, this moment came during a quiet morning meditation. She suddenly saw her future. Business helping other single mothers, build financial independence. The vision was so clear, so compelling, she started crying. This isn't just career clarity, this is soul alignment. You understand how your gifts, experiences, and passion intersect to create your unique contribution to the world. You'll know this is happening when you feel energized rather than drained by your work. Ideas flow effortlessly when you're in your purpose zone. You lose track of time when engaged in meaningful activities. People naturally seek your guidance in your area of calling. Ephesians 2:10 tells us, "We are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This preparation is coming to fruition. Now, you might feel intimidated by this clarity. Who am I to have such a big purpose? But remember, God doesn't make mistakes. Your purpose isn't too big for you. You're being prepared to grow into it. When you align with your true purpose, everything else begins to align too. Relationships, opportunities, resources, they all start moving in the same direction. If you're feeling this purposeful clarity, start taking small steps toward it immediately. Don't wait until you feel ready. Purpose is refined through action, not perfected through planning. Sarah didn't wait to have all the answers. She started with one single mother in her apartment complex, offering basic financial literacy. That one conversation led to the business empire she runs today. But purpose without provision is just frustration, which is why the seventh sign addresses the practical side of divine blessing. Sign 7, supernatural provision. The seventh sign is when resources, connections, and support show up in ways that can only be described as miraculous. I'm not talking about winning the lottery or finding money on the street, though those things can happen. I'm talking about provision that's perfectly timed and precisely what you need for your next step. Sarah needed $5,000 to launch her business properly. She had been praying about it for weeks. Then her grandmother, who never talked about money, called to say she was gifting each grandchild their inheritance early. The amount? Exactly $5,000. This is how God's provision works. It's not always abundant in human terms, but it's always sufficient for divine purposes. You get exactly what you need, when you need it, in the way you need it. Supernatural provision might look like unexpected financial gifts or opportunities, people volunteering their expertise at exactly the right moment, resources appearing through relationships you didn't expect, doors opening that create the perfect timing for your next move. Philippians 4:19 assures us, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus." This isn't prosperity theology. This is provision theology. The key is maintaining an attitude of expectant gratitude. Not demanding or entitled, but confidently expectant because you know you're walking in divine purpose. Remember, supernatural provision comes with the responsibility of faithful stewardship. What you receive is meant to be multiplied through your purpose, not hoarded for security. And this brings us to the 8th and final sign, the one that signals your blessing is about to manifest. Sign 8, increased spiritual attacks. The 8th sign might surprise you. You experience increased spiritual resistance and opposition. Right before your breakthrough, it feels like everything is working against you. Technology fails at crucial moments. People become unusually difficult. Obstacles appear out of nowhere. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path. This is confirmation that you're on the right path. The enemy of your soul gets most active when he knows he's about to lose significant ground. Sarah's biggest obstacles came in the final month before her business launched. Her childcare fell through, her computer crashed, and her main client almost backed out. She later realized this was the final test of her commitment to her calling. This is why the previous signs, the inner strength, the clarity of purpose, the spiritual sensitivity, were so important. They've been preparing you for this final push. When this happens, don't retreat. Don't take it as a sign to quit. Instead, recognize it as the labor pains before birth. Your blessing is being born, and this is the final stretch. Stand firm in your purpose. Keep taking the next right step. Pray for protection and perseverance, because on the other side of this resistance is your breakthrough, conclusion, and call to action. So there you have it, the 8 signs that appear when God is preparing to bless a woman with something extraordinary. Remember Sarah, who went from struggling single mother to successful entrepreneur? She experienced every single one of these signs, and so will you. I want you to go back through these signs. Which ones are you experiencing right now? I guarantee you'll recognize at least 2 or 3. Share in the comments which signs resonated most with you. Let's encourage each other as we recognize God's movement in our lives. If this video opened your eyes to God's work in your life, subscribe for more spiritual insights that will help you navigate your journey with confidence and clarity. Remember, beloved, your breakthrough is not just possible, it's inevitable. When you're aligned with divine purpose, trust the process, trust the signs, and most importantly, trust the God who has called you to greatness. Watch this next video to learn how to position yourself to receive everything God has prepared for you. Your extraordinary life is waiting. And here's something I want you to try. Start keeping a synchronicity journal. Write down these meaningful coincidences. You'll be amazed at the patterns that emerge. Sarah wishes she had done this because looking back, she could see how every synchronicity was pointing toward her ultimate breakthrough. Which brings us to the 3rd sign. Sign 3, divine discontent. The 3rd sign might surprise you. You become deeply dissatisfied with your current reality. Now, this isn't depression or ingratitude. This is divine discontent, a holy restlessness that God places in your heart when He's preparing to move you to your next level. You look around at your life. Maybe it's perfectly fine, by most standards, but something inside you is screaming. There has to be more than this. You feel like you're suffocating in your own skin. Sarah described it perfectly. She said, I felt like I was wearing clothes that had become too small. Everything felt constrictive, even things I used to enjoy. This divine discontent serves a crucial purpose. It's God's way of making you uncomfortable enough to move. Because here's the truth. Most of us won't leave our comfort zones until staying becomes more painful than going. Think about every woman in history who made a significant impact. Before their breakthrough, there was always a period of divine discontent. Mother Teresa felt this before her calling. Oprah experienced this before launching her media empire. Here's what I see happening too often. Women feel this divine discontent, but instead of recognizing it as a sign, they try to medicate it. They shop, they binge watch, they stay busy. Anything to avoid sitting with this uncomfortable feeling. But what if I told you this discomfort is actually a gift? It's your spirit recognizing that you've outgrown your current container. You're being prepared for expansion. So if you're feeling this divine discontent right now, don't fight it. Sit with it. Journal about it. Ask yourself, what is my spirit trying to tell me? What am I being called to release or pursue? Remember, this feeling isn't here to torment you. It's here to transform you. And the 4th sign will show you exactly how this transformation begins to manifest. Sign 4, unusual favor and opportunities. The 4th sign is when doors begin opening that shouldn't logically open for you.